Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Mo Show Live. I'm Morris Lilienthal, and I am so excited about today's show. We've got a great guest, great topic, something that I'm very passionate about that I want to share with everybody out there and spread the word about Rotary. I'm a proud Rotarian and proud member of the Rotary Club of Madison, Alabama, and it just excites me and invigorates me. Every Thursday morning we meet at 7 o'clock. We're an early club, and we meet and we get together of like-minded people from different backgrounds, but we work together to do good in our local communities and do good globally. But I'm often asked, what is Rotary? And so we're going to ask today's guest that. But I want to get started. I want to jump right into it, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest to you. Today's guest is Mark Maloney. Mark is the Rotary International President-Nominee. And Mark, if I'm wrong, but correct me if I am, but you are slated to be the president of Rotary International for 2019 and 20. Mark is a graduate of Harvard University. He received his law degree from Vanderbilt, received his LLM in tax, so he's got a tax specialty from New York University. He's a principal in the law firm of Blackburn, Maloney, and Schubert, and located in Decatur, Alabama. And in his legal career, he does tax work, agricultural work, and estate planning work. Mark has been a Rotarian, folks, since 1980. And so almost 40 years involved with this great organization, and he's a member of the Rotary Club of Decatur. And in almost 40 years, Mark has served in various capacities within his club, the state level, and now the national level and international, global level at Rotary. And Rotary is a family affair for Mark. Mark's wife, Gay, is also involved in the Rotary Club, and she's in the Decatur Daybreak Club, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, and she's the past president of that club. So it's a family affair, and it's something that I know Mark is extremely passionate about, something that I'm passionate about. So I'm so excited to share with everybody the topic of Rotary and what Rotary is. Mark, thanks so much for your time today. How are you doing?
I'm great to be here. I'm doing great. I'm fabulous. That's my line now, Mo. I'm fabulous. And it's great to be with you and to be with another great Rotarian from North Alabama in our Rotary District 6860.
It is, and we have, so many great Rotarians around the world, and we've got some great ones right here in our home state and our home district, and I'm so proud of what we've accomplished here. And we're going to touch on what Rotarians are accomplishing, globally, and what we're doing on a local level, and talk a little bit about why membership in Rotary Club can be so valuable. People maybe who haven't experienced Rotary, maybe to somebody who is watching this video that maybe wants to know a little bit more about Rotary. But folks, if you're watching, real quick before we dive right into it head first, if you're watching live, please say hello. Let us know that you're watching. If you've got a question for Mark, let me know. I'll be watching the feed over here, and I'll try to bring up any questions if we've got time to get to them. And if you're a Rotarian, let us know where in the world you're watching from. Let us know where your club is. I'll try to give you a shout out. But Mark, I want to, maybe the first thing I do before I kind of ask you the question that I told everybody I was going to ask you is give some people some perspective about Rotary that don't have a perspective. And my statistics show that there were over 35,000 clubs in the world now, 1.2 million Rotarians in over 200 countries. So this is a humongous service organization.
Yes, sir. It is the world's oldest service organization and largest service organization. As you say, we have 1.2 million Rotarians, and it's not just a North American-based organization. We don't have just a small number of Rotarians in these other parts of the world. More than 2/3 of all Rotarians are outside North America. We are truly an international organization.
Yeah, like I said, we over 200 countries, folks, we have Rotary clubs. Mark, I would love to, one of the things that when we talk about membership and we talk about bringing people into the Rotary family in our club, we're often talking about when somebody asks us, well, what is Rotary? How would you answer that? If you were trying to introduce somebody into Rotary and you had just a short snippet to tell them, what would you say?
Oh, the elevator speech. Rotary is a community of humanitarian-minded business and professional people working together to make the world better, to do good in the world. That's the short one-sentence answer.
Yeah.
Rotarians connect through Rotary clubs in their local community, and through their Rotary clubs connect with other Rotarians around the globe.
It does, and we're going to talk about this, I think, in a little bit about how, you know, clubs are, not only we have active clubs in over 200 countries, but how clubs from different states interact with other clubs, and how clubs from different countries interact and play together. I know that my club does that, and I know a lot of other clubs that I'm familiar with do that. Before we kind of talk more specifically, I think it might be, for somebody who's watching this video live or on the replay, it might be good to kind of give us a quick, just 30-second structural big picture mark of Rotary in terms of how it breaks down. So you have Rotary International, and then I know we have the local clubs, and I'm not sure internationally wise, but here in the States, at least as I understand it, that you have zones, which may encompass more than one state, and then districts. Can you kind of give folks that may be watching a quick breakdown, so when we start talking about different aspects of Rotary, they have a better understanding of what we're talking about?
Sure. The members of Rotary International are the Rotary clubs. The Rotarians, individuals, are members of their own clubs. So we have 35,000 Rotary clubs, as you say, around the world. Those 35,000 Rotary clubs are grouped into geographic territories called districts. And as you know, our Rotary District in North Alabama is the northern half of the state of Alabama and encompasses 52 Rotary clubs from if you draw a line from Tuscaloosa, south of Birmingham, over to the Georgia state line, everything north of that is in our Rotary District. Some districts in the world include 5 or 6 or 10 countries. East Africa, for example, you'll have Uganda and Tanzania and Ethiopia and other countries together in a district. In the Caribbean, you'll have 10 different island countries in a district. And then each of those districts has a Rotary International officer known as a district governor. And as you know, Pat Cross from your Rotary Club of Madison served as Rotary District Governor in North Alabama 2 or 3 years ago. And then there's a governing board of Rotary International called the Board of Directors, with 17 directors elected from around the world. And then the president and the president-elect also serve on the board. So there is something called zones, but zones are just areas from which Rotary International directors are chosen.
Gotcha. Well, that's helpful to kind of understand it, and that everybody kind of operates under the umbrella. And if you want to find more out about it, we'll provide some more information later about how you can get more details about the funding and do those kinds of things. Folks, there's so much to Rotary, and we're only going to be talking to Mark for about 30 minutes, so I really wanted to narrow down what we're talking about. But real quick, Mark, we've got my friend Mitch Jackson, who's a fellow Rotarian out in California. He says hello. We've got Bill Petty, who is from the Tuscaloosa Morning Rotary Club here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And we've got Dennis Sanders saying hello from here at my club. So we've got a lot of fellow Rotarians from one side of the country to the other watching us, so we appreciate it very much, guys. But Mark, let's take big picture first. Let's talk Rotary International and global Rotary. A lot of people that know or maybe have heard of Rotary that aren't quite involved with Rotary maybe have heard of Rotarians' activity and their efforts to eradicate polio. Maybe that's how you've heard of Rotary. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about what Rotary has been pushing for in the last several years, and since maybe 1985 with polio eradication, and some other projects that we're working on globally?
Certainly. Let me just give a little intro. We talked about the Rotary clubs, and that is the core of Rotary, and that's where most local community service projects and even international projects generate from. However, as Rotary's position in the world has become enhanced, it finds that as a corporate organization, as a worldwide organization, we have the ability to have a tremendous impact on the world. And in 1985, Rotary made the commitment to immunize every child in the world against polio. And from that, we developed the advocacy point that the world ought to eradicate polio. And Rotary went to the World Health Organization and lobbied the World Health Organization to establish the eradication of polio as a World Health objective. And WHO approved that. In 1988, there were 350,000 new cases of polio every year in 125 countries around the world. Because of Rotarians' efforts and because of the efforts of the governments of the world and the principal partners, World Health Organization, the United Nations Children's Fund, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Rotary, those are the 5 principal partners, we have, since 1988, reduced the number of cases of polio such that as of last year, there were only 22 cases of polio in only 2 countries. Now, those 2 countries are Pakistan and Afghanistan, and those are very difficult countries in which to work. And so far this year, here on May the 2nd, we have, I can't remember, it's 8 or 9 cases of polio so far this year, 1 in Pakistan, all the rest in Afghanistan. That's the sort of impact that Rotary has in the world. Now,
it's unbelievable.
Going on to other global perspectives, Rotary is a leader in peace and conflict resolution. Now, we're not going out and negotiating peace deals between countries around the world, but we have a tremendous focus on equipping professionals with the skills to address peace and conflict resolution issues. We have a series of 6 Rotary Peace Centers around the world in which we fund 100 Rotary Peace Scholars every year. We fund 50 scholars every year who are earning a 2-year master's degree in a field related to peace and conflict resolution. And we also fund 50 mid-career people working in this area with a certificate program. And those institutions can be found at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, Uppsala University in Sweden, the University of Bradford in England, a combination of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and Duke University in North Carolina, International Christian University in Japan, and the University of Queensland in Australia. And I think I've mentioned them all.
That is amazing, Mark. I mean, just to think to have the, to flip back real quick to the polio eradication, to think that we're going to take something on as big as 350,000 new cases a year in over 100 plus countries a year, to wipe it down now to essentially, as we like to say, we're that close to getting it done. That is a tremendous undertaking, and now to be funding these scholarships and doing other things to put forth efforts to bring peace and talks amongst countries to bring people together to tackle other issues is just a tremendous thing, and I'm so proud to be a part of that. And real quick, I'd like to say hello to Pat Cross, who's joined us, Doug Martinson here, Emily McIntosh. We've got a lot of other folks watching us, and I really appreciate you guys watching us. Mark, what I'd like to touch on, the other thing is that here, I know at least in a lot of the clubs that I'm familiar with, I know in my club personally, we have a lot of crossing over where we interact with other Rotary clubs in other countries, come together to provide humanitarian aid, maybe to provide educational information or health resources to people. Talk to us a little bit about what Rotary clubs are doing here and interacting with other clubs around the world to try to bring better living conditions and better education and health resources to others.
Sure. Each Rotary Club, as we talked about earlier, is an autonomous entity. It is a group of like-minded individuals within a community seeking to improve their own community. All of our Rotary clubs, in addition to having international projects, as I'll talk about in a moment, they undertake local projects. Let's not forget the local projects. What happens in the community, whether it's equipping the library or whether it is providing scholarships to young students or helping with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, as we do in the Decatur Rotary Club, or reading Rotarians at the schools, as both of the Rotary clubs in Decatur do. But we have the unique opportunity that many other civic organizations don't have because we have this global perspective. We have 1.2 million members around the world. We have 35,000 branch offices in 200 countries and geographic regions around the world. And so you have many circumstances where Rotary clubs in developed countries partner with Rotary clubs in developing countries to undertake service projects. And these are projects that meet a need in one of the 6 areas of focus of Rotary, which are disease and prevention and treatment, maternal and child health, economic and community development, water and sanitation, peace and conflict resolution, and one more that escapes me at the moment. Anyway, and I'm supposed to know all this on the top of my head here. And,
you're still nominee, Mark. You've got time.
Anyway, I can't remember. Anyway, and so, for example, your own Rotary Club, Mo, partners with Rotary clubs in Honduras on an eco stove project. And as I understand it, and I may not have this right, but the eco stove is the way to provide in communities that don't have electricity or gas service a ecologically sound cooking stove in a private home, not a fancy private home, but in a private home in a poor community that doesn't produce smoke and create health hazards at the time that they're trying to feed their family. Now, there may be more to that than what I know. That may be a broad description, but I think that's what the project is. And so they've got the need. There are Rotarians on the ground there in Honduras who are members of Rotary clubs in Honduras. They're partnering with the Rotary Club of Madison and perhaps other clubs in, maybe not even in just the United States, to provide funding and to provide manpower to get these stoves into the homes in these villages.
That's exactly right, and we, and I know we're not the only club to do that, folks. There are a lot of clubs that are doing a lot of great projects like this. But I can tell you, Mark, that we have done that, and that we're really proud to do that through raising funds and through grant matches through Rotary International, and that we've even taken it to the next level in the last couple of years. And we've now, when we go down to work on the Eco Stove project, we have a dentist in our club, we have an optometrist in our club. Now we go down and we partner with them to have children brought in to do dental cleanings, to do extractions, to do fillings, do screenings, and they take down 1,000 pair of glasses to provide glasses. So it's just you can see how a small group like our group of just 70 Rotarians in our smaller club can make a huge difference on a global level. Hey, folks, let me reset it real quick. This is Morris Lillian Paul, and you're watching the Mo Show Live, and our guest today is Mark Maloney, Rotary International President-Nominee, and we're talking about what is Rotary and what a difference Rotary is making globally, and we've talked about how Rotary impacted the world with working to eradicate polio and helping now to foster good relationships between countries and communities and peace talks and things. And now we're going to want to talk a little bit more now about locally what we're doing. Mark mentioned it a little bit, but Mark, there are a lot of great service individual projects that a lot of clubs do to highlight. You mentioned some stuff, but I was at the Downtown Club last week, Downtown Huntsville, Alabama Club, which is a really big club. But they have that Doug, my law partner, is a member of, they have a great Strive program where they mentor and work with local schools that select students who may need a leg up and need a chance and somebody to mentor and meet with them. And they work with these students, and they have so many success stories, and it's been so successful. Right now, they're on a push to raise a large amount of money so they can spread that to the other Huntsville hospitals in the district. So there are a lot of clubs that not only are doing great things internationally, but because we have the autonomy, we can, being an individual club, we have the ability to interact and find the needs and what we're tied to in our local communities.
That's absolutely right. And the number of possible projects is limited only by the imagination and the numbers of Rotarians. All over the world, local Rotary clubs are undertaking the projects that are necessary in their communities. Here in the United States, you tend to have projects that are more personal development, education, mentoring, and those sorts of things. The Strive program that you mentioned with the Rotary Club of Huntsville, Alabama. Many, many Rotary clubs undertake reading Rotarian projects where Rotarians spend an hour a week with young students who are having reading difficulties to encourage them in their reading programs at school. We are funding scholarships for aspiring high school students who are heading off to college. But yet, in other parts of the globe, many of the projects, even though they're local projects and not international projects, they're part of the fabric of the community. In some towns and villages in the developing world, there are hospitals that are there only because the Rotarians made it possible for there to be a hospital. I remember being in Vapi, which is in Gujarat state in India, and the principal hospital in the city, and this is not, a village of 300 people. This is a city with tens of thousands of people, and it is a Rotary hospital. And it's made possible because Rotarians volunteer their time. They have undertaken international projects to fund equipment into those projects, but they're not just setting up a hospital and walking away. They have set up a hospital and continue to make sure that it operates on an ongoing basis, because in some parts of the world, there aren't the infrastructure, the governmental resources available to do what we see here in the United States with government-run hospitals and private commercial hospitals.
Right. Well, and again, that's what's so great is that because we have the autonomy to do that, we can find needs. I know, our club, we have a brand new public library, and we're working with them now to build a children's garden, something that we wanted to do to help to support reading and doing things that we're passionate about and supporting our local education system. So each need is different in each area and resource. But what's cool though is that they kind of combine in some ways, kind of like with our Honduras project, where there may be a local need there in that community, but that local Rotary Club can then maybe reach out and work with other clubs in other countries, fund that local need. So it's really cool, really cool. Mark, I want to be mindful of your time. In the last few minutes or so that we've got left here, I'd like to talk about, there's been a decline, in the last, I'd say probably 15, 20 years with service clubs that have probably seen a drop in membership and things of that nature. We're pulled in so many directions these days. You've got your work life, your family life. You may have other service organizations, and then if you can find some time for some leisure things. Why, in today's busy, hectic society, can you share with our audience, people who have not experienced Rotary, somebody who's heard some of the things that we've been talking about the last 20 minutes, why would that be a valuable resource for individuals in today's society?
Rotary is valuable to me, and I believe it's valuable to others, as a networking opportunity. Each Rotary Club in the world is a collection of the business and professional leaders of that community. In most communities, those people are the movers and the shakers. They are what They are the ones who make happen what does happen in their communities, whether it's through the Rotary Club activity or whether it's through their own individual activities. And, you know, somebody told me, or we have some expression, that Rotary was the earliest social network. Not Facebook, but Rotary. That's a different kind of social network, I understand. But the value of that, the value of coming together, the contacts that you can make, the friendships that you can develop, and then the ability to work together to serve in the community. And what's unique about Rotary is that, you know, yes, you can do some of those things through your church. And yes, you can do something through the American Cancer Society. But when you become involved there, you're on a specific issue or a specific set of religious beliefs, whereas Rotary provides the opportunity to bring a broad spectrum without regard to political background, without regard to religious background, without regard to demographic background, people who are actively involved in their lives as business and professional leaders or community leaders coming together for the benefit of the community.
It is, folks, and I just want to second that because, you know, even in our cross section of our club, we have so many people from so many different backgrounds. And you know, while if we sat around and had dinner, we may not agree on everything from a political or a religious standpoint, but we put all that aside to come together to work towards the common goal of making a better local community and making a better global community. And we have that in common, and it allows us to do that. And I can tell you that, you know, that's why I joined the Rotary Club. But it certainly made, for me, a lot of great connections in the community, in the local community, and allowed me to network with a lot of people. You know, it certainly has been helpful professionally, but that's just a side benefit. You know, it's a nice side benefit, but the main benefit is to do better. And where that leads me, you know, Mark, is what I'd love to kind of end on here towards the end as we start to wrap up, is to talk about our motto. And for those that don't know, our motto, Rotary motto, is service above self. Mitch Jackson just put it in a comment. You know, what I love about that motto is to be a giver, not a taker. And I think we as Rotarians worldwide and in our local communities, if we strive to make our local communities better, if we strive to make our global communities better, we'll all benefit the benefits. We'll reap the benefits from it. Talk to me about that.
Let me say, if you strive to be a giver and not a taker, I guarantee that you will receive more in satisfaction, friendship, camaraderie than you've ever given as a part of that service.
There's no doubt about it, and you will definitely reap the benefits from that in so many ways and situations. But you know, I love that you know, it's service above self, and when you look at, you know, we could sit here for another 5 hours or 2 days and talk about different examples of that in our organization. You certainly are a shining star of that. You know, you're giving up so much time and involvement. I know there are people in my club that do the same thing, and countless members across the world that do that. But I love that motto, service above self, and it does come back tenfold.
Absolutely.
The last thing I want to close on, we've got about 1 or 2 minutes here, and because I know you've got another meeting to get to, and I really appreciate your time, is I'd love to kind of, before I kind of let everybody know where they can get a hold of you and find more information about Rotary, I thought we'd close out the show the same way every Rotary Club I've ever been to and closed out the meeting, it talks about the 4-way test. And I'd love to just maybe say those core values, and that folks, so if you ever, when you go to a Rotary meeting, and I'm encouraging you all to go to attend a Rotary meeting in your local communities to get a perspective in your local community what your Rotary Club is about and how you can connect and make a difference. But there is a what we call the 4-way test, and it is what they call the guide for Rotarians for their personal and professional relationships. And it's something that usually we are led to say by the president of our local clubs. And I think there are core values that are really great principles for our clubs and our organizations.
Let me just say something. You know, the 4-way test is a creed, not a creed exactly, but a set of sayings established for how to conduct your vocational life. It is part of vocational service. Rotary membership is based upon a variety of occupations being represented in the club. And so this was Herbert Taylor, back in the Depression days, was appointed as the receiver for the Club Aluminum Company. And his attitude was, we're going to treat people honestly. And so he wrote down what I think it's 32 words on a piece of paper, and it's this 4-way test that you're about to lead us.
Yeah, and I'm excited to do that. I'd like to say hello to our district governor, Sue Mitchell, who's watching here, Mark. But the 4-way test, folks, and this is what we repeat, of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Wow, I mean, to me, Mark, that really says a lot. If you can strive to live to those values, you will be a better person. The people around you will be a better people, and people that you work with will be better, and your business or organization will be better. Mark, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know you've got a busy schedule and a lot on your plate, but it's been really awesome to have you here and share the passion that I know you have and the passion that I have for Rotary. If people want to get in touch with you or get in touch with Rotary, how can they do so?
Well, they can, to get in touch with Rotary, go to Rotary.org. And if they're interested in following up with a Rotary club in their community, there is a place to click on the Rotary.org website to find a Rotary club and to indicate your interest, and that you'll fill out a form, and that will be communicated to the Rotarians in your community so that they can be in touch with you. But if they wish to be in touch with me, mark.maloney@rotary.org. That's my email address.
So what I'll do, Mark, is when we finish the show here, I'll go into the comments and I'll put a link to the Rotary website. And then certainly, folks, tag your, I'll tag Rotary International. Follow Rotary International on social media. They're very active on Facebook and Twitter and all the main social media channels. You can get some more information about what Rotary is doing to make the world a better place. But check out your local club. Go to Rotary International's website and go to the link that Mark was talking about. Find a local Rotary club and just find out when and what time they meet, and just show up. You don't need to be invited per se. Just show up. But if you send that information, that link in, you can get it. But I think you're going to be really impressed. I think you're going to find a lot of people that you can relate to in the core value of making your community a better place. Mark, again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks so much,
Appreciate your service. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. If you'll watch and share this video, we would greatly appreciate it to help spread the message of Rotary. Thanks again, Mark.
Bye-bye.